King Xerxes was hosting a banquet for the nobles, while Queen Vashti was hosting one for the women. And on the 7th day of the banquet, the king, sated with wine, sent a command to the queen that she was to come to the men's banquet wearing nothing other than her royal crown, that he might show off her great beauty. The queen refused, and for this she was banished from the kingdom, and he began a search for a new queen. Women from throughout the kingdom were coming to the palace in hopes of being chosen as the new queen. Mordecai brought Esther, and when the king saw her great beauty, she was chosen above all the other women. Mordecai advised Esther that she should keep her Jewish heritage a secret. Now one day Mordecai was by the city gates when he overheard a plot to assassinate the king. He sent this message to Esther, and she informed the king of the plot. The assassins were captured and executed and placed upon a high pole that all could see what happens to a traitor. All of this was written down in the official records. Now at this time there was a man named Haman, and he was second in power to only the king. Wanting to honor Haman, the king passed an edict that said, throughout the entire kingdom, wherever Haman was to walk, people were to bow before him. Only Mordecai refused, and this angered Haman. When he learned that Mordecai was Jewish, he decided that not only should Mordecai be executed, but all of the Jewish people would be destroyed. He went to the king and he said, "If it please the king, with your permission, I will write an edict, because there are a group of people here in the kingdom who give you no honor. They have different customs and different traditions. They should not be tolerated. My edict will say that they are to be destroyed." The king agreed to this, and he told Haman, "Do with them what you will." Once the edict was signed and sealed, Haman let the community know that all of the Jews on a certain day, men, women, children, all of them would be destroyed. When Mordecai learned of this, he tore his clothes, he sat in the ashes, and he cried bitter tears. And then he sent a message to Esther saying, "You must go to the king and ask for mercy." Esther reminded her uncle that there was a law that if anyone came before the king without being invited, they could be executed. And the king had not sent for her in over 30 days. To approach him could mean certain death for Esther. But Mordecai said, "Do not think that because you live in the palace, you will be the one Jewish person to escape this edict. It's time to reveal your heritage. Perhaps you were placed in this royal position for just such a time as this." Esther listened to Mordecai's words, and she agreed. She asked him, "Have all of the Jewish people fast and eat nothing for 3 days. My servants and I will do the same, and at the end of those 3 days, I will go to the king to petition, and if I die, I die." At the end of the 3 days, she put on her royal robes and she went into the court and stood before the king. He saw his beautiful queen, and he extended the gold scepter, saving her life. He said, "What is it that my queen wants? Ask, and it will be yours." And she said, "If it please the king, I am preparing a special banquet for you, if you would come to my quarters tonight, and please bring Haman with you." That evening, the king and Haman went to her quarters, and they were enjoying the rich foods and the wine when he asked Esther again, "And what is it that my queen wants?" And she said, "If it please you, would you come one more night to a banquet? And please bring Haman with you again, and then I will tell you my request." When they left the palace that night, Haman was overjoyed. He was certain he had found special favor in the queen's eyes. And as he left and went through the city gates, there was Mordecai again refusing to bow to him, and it infuriated him. When Haman got home, he was bragging to his wife and to the neighbors of his great position and how the queen had found special favor for him. He said, "Why, tomorrow night, she is hosting a special banquet for no one other than the king and me. Oh, but how can I go to that banquet and enjoy myself when I know that Jew Mordecai is out there dishonoring me?" His wife said, "Go to the king tonight. Tell him of Mordecai's behavior, and begin construction this very night on gallows 75 feet high. And there Mordecai will be executed, so that everyone can see what happens to anyone who dishonors you." Haman liked this idea, and he left immediately for the palace. Now on this particular night, the king was having a terrible time falling asleep. So he asked that a reader come to him with the official records and read to him, thinking it would lull him to sleep. And then he heard the story of Mordecai, who saved him from the assassin's plot. The king asked, what was done to honor this man? And he learned that nothing had been done to honor Mordecai. At that very moment, Haman was coming into the court, and so the king sent for him. When Haman walked in, the king said, "There is a man that I want to honor greatly. What would you suggest I do for him?" Oh, Haman was certain that the king meant that Haman himself was to be honored. And so he said, "Dress that man in your finest royal robes and put him upon the best horse, and then have servants lead him up and down the streets, shouting out his praises." The king said, "Yes, and I ask that you would see to it that all of that is done for Mordecai." The time came for the king and for Haman to come to the queen's second banquet. And as they were there again enjoying the rich foods, the king said, "My queen, what is it that you want? I will give you anything up to half my kingdom." And Esther said, "If it please the king, I would ask that you save my life. Save the lives of all my people. For someone has issued an order that all of my people, men, women, and children, all of them, are to be killed." Oh, the king was shocked to learn this. He said, "Who could have passed such an order? Where is this man?" And the queen pointed at Haman. She said, "It is the evil Haman who hates my people and has ordered all of us killed." Oh, the king flew out of her quarters in a rage, going outside to decide what would he do. Haman stayed behind to beg Esther for mercy. She was lying on a couch, and Haman threw himself down next to her. At that very moment, the king returned, and when he saw Haman there, he screamed out, "What manner of man is this, that he would attempt to rape my queen in my very presence?" And he ordered that Haman's head be covered and that he be bound and led away to the gallows. And so it was that Haman and 10 of his sons were hanged on the very gallows that he had built for Mordecai. And Esther and all of her people were saved.